Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about pronouns in Thai language because there are so many of them and many people find it's quite confusing to know when to use which exactly. And I can also understand it can be quite tricky sometimes, especially if you are foreigners. But in fact, it's not that difficult and I will tell you some rules to master it today, okay? So always remember that actually politeness is very important in Thai language. So make sure that you know whether the person is older or younger than you, or whether the person have higher social status than you or not, because that's how we're going to distinguish which pronouns we're going to use when we talk to the person. Okay, so we look at in the case if the person is older than you, then you always call the person P. P in Thai means older brother or older sister. So it doesn't matter whether the person is like a female or a male, you can always call them P. And you can also add name of the person after the word P. For example, if the person is called A, then you say PA. If the person called B, then you say PB, just like that. And how are you going to call yourself? You can just call yourself with your name, just like Dobby in Harry Potter. You know, Dobby will say, Dobby wants this, Dobby wants that. It's the same in Thai language. We can also say, if the person calls C, we can say C want this, C want that, just like Dobby in Harry Potter. And it sounds very humble and it sounds very cute as well. And sometimes we just cut the word I out completely. We can just say the verb. For example, หิวแล้วค่ะ หิวแล้วค่ะ means I'm already hungry, I'm hungry. And the person will understand that you're talking about yourself, okay? But make sure that you put the word ค่ะ for female speaker and ครับ for male speaker at the end of the sentence to make your sentence sounds more polite. That's how we talk to the person who older than us. Now we're talking to the person who in the same age as us, okay, like friends and colleagues. Now it's a little bit tricky because we have so many I and you. It really depends on how close you are to the person. I'm talking about normally if you just like, work with them or go to school with them, but you're not really like best friends or anything, you can call the person by their names. For example, if the person calls C, just call them C. The person called A, just call them A. And you can call yourself with your name as well. Or you just cut I and you out completely. You can just ask the person, หิวไหม Are you hungry? Oh, หิวแล้ว I'm already hungry. Just like that. Just communicate with the verbs without I and you. We understand that we're talking about, ourselves. That's how we speak. But we also have lots of pronouns like กูมึงแกเราเองข้า something like that. So I'll explain it one by one. But you have to make sure that you know whether you and the person like are on the same page, okay? If not, it can come across quite rude if you use the one that you're not that close to the person, but you use the one that's supposed to use by like really close friends. กู and มึง normally they come together. กู is I and มึง is you. These two words, I would say that you only use to people that you are quite close to, because many people might find it quite offensive if you don't really know them that well and you use กู and มึง, especially when you meet them for the first time. Just is a big no-no. And we can also say แก for you and เรา normally แก and เรา comes together. เรา is like I, actually it's like we, but when we talk to our friends, when we say we, it's normally like I, and แก is you. And that is, a little bit better than กู and มึง. It's not that rude, it's not that offensive. Okay, so many female speakers use แก and เรา like among their friends as well. กู and มึง, I would say that more male speakers do that among their friends. We have กู and มึง and แก and เรา. We sometimes I hear people say เอง and ข้า so ข้า is I and เอง is you. That is more ancient, like กู and มึง is very ancient, is what it's come from, like Sukhothai dynasty, something like that. But now this day can come out a little bit offensive. Okay, so just make sure that we have all of those as well. But if you don't know whether you should use any of this word or not, just try to see how your friends, like people around you, speak. If they use like กู มึง, maybe it's okay for them to use กู มึง with them. But if they never ever use กู มึง to you, just don't use it, because maybe they're not comfortable enough to use กู มึง with you. But after sometimes Thai people just like tends to change pronouns a lot. For example, I normally like call myself like Rao, or sometimes it's like my names. But when I'm trying to like being funny or like being sarcastic or just like trying to be exaggerated, sometimes I use กู มึง when I tell like stories to my friends, or แก and เรา to just make it like funny and sounds like really like excited. So it really depends. And okay, now we're talking about if we talk to people who are older than us, we will call ourselves, P. P, okay? For example, if you call A, then you talk to the person PA, or P want this, P want that. you use P to call yourself, okay? And when you talk to the person who like younger than you just call them by their names, without add any P or anything, just by their name. That's how they do it. And they will call you P because they are younger than you. So they will call you like, brother, older brother or older sister. And that's how we do it. And now we're talking about person who have some kind of social status, their job is recognized in society. We will call them by their occupation. For example, if you're talking to your teacher in Thai is ครู คุณครู or อาจารย์ so we will call them ครู or อาจารย์ and sometimes we can also add the names after their occupation. For example, ครู A ครู B อาจารย์ A อาจารย์ B, just like that. And if the person is doctor, we always call the person doctor as well. That's how we do it. For example, หมอ means doctor in Thai. We say หมอ or คุณหมอ and sometimes we can just add หมอ A, หมอ B, just like that. But normally just call หมอ because we don't know the names of the doctors, right? We don't really know their names. That's how we do it. And yeah, if you just like, one day come across someone that looks so much older to be brother or sister, then you call them on how you think like the age is like in your family. For example, if the person seems like they're old enough to be your uncle or auntie, then just call them uncle, which is ลุง or auntie, which is ป้า, okay? ป้า for auntie and ลุง for uncle. Or you can call them ยาย if the person is old enough to be your grandma. And if the person is old enough to be your grandpa, then you call them ตา ตา. The grandpa and grandma that I'm talking about is actually from mother's side. Yai is like mother's, so like grandma. And ta is your dad, your mom's father, so it's like grandpa. We don't use the word from father's side to call people that we don't know. We use like the words from the mother's side, like ปู่ย่า ตายาย ป้า ลุง, like that, from mother's side to call people that is actually not your cousin, okay, but they're old enough to be your uncle or auntie or grandma or grandpa. Okay, so I'll revise for you again, okay? So if the person is older than you, but not that much older, then you call the person P. Doesn't matter whether the person is male or female. And if the person is old enough to be your, not P anymore, okay? Like now old enough to be your uncle or auntie, then you call them uncle or auntie. Uncle is lung and auntie is pa. If the person is even older than lung and pa, now you call them ta and yai. Ta is grandpa and yai is grandma, okay? Now you're talking to your friends. You can't just skip all the I and you when you talk to your friends, okay? You can just use the verb. And you can also call them by their names, and you can also call yourself by your name as well. But if you're really, really close to your friends, then just observe how they talk to you, because they might use กู and มึง แก and เรา เอง and ข้า or something else. Just see how they talk to you and just copy them, okay? And if you talk to the person who are younger than you, then you call them by their names and they will call you P or Lung or Pa or Na, depends on how old you are. Like, if they call you Pa, it means that the person thinks that you are old enough to be the person's auntie. So just, know that that is what the person think of you. And to show the politeness, make sure that you add ka and krap. Ka is for female speaker and krap is for male speaker behind everything at the end of every sentences, especially when you don't know the person very well. When you're not so close to the person, always try to be polite. That is all the rules that I have for you to pick the pronouns. Just see how the person call themselves. Just see whether the person is older than you. Just see what their job is. If they are teacher, call them teacher. If they are doctor, call them doctor. If they are, I don't know, police, call them police. That's how we do it in Thailand. Okay, and yep, that's it for today. Bye bye. Thank you very much.